Let me explain why we need to get a blatantly unjust New Hampshire law repealed. RSA 275, Section 37A, which says, no employer shall require as a condition of employment that any employee or applicant for employment abstain from using tobacco products outside the course of employment as long as the employee complies with any workplace policy. Let me explain what it was like during the war for non-smokers' rights. You're lucky if you could get a job in a place where there's a fire safety restriction and smoking was banned, or delicate electronic equipment. Then you'd be safe, you think, until lunchtime, when they have 30 minutes to feed their drug habit and they're going to spend 29 and a half of those minutes smoking in the cafeteria. What are you supposed to do? Eat your lunch out on the sidewalk? Apparently that's what they thought you should do. Well, typically, if there are 8 restaurants in the town, you'd be lucky if one of them had so much as a no smoking section. And very lucky if that one happens to be right next door. You go there, this is the one little sanctuary in town, the one safe haven that you have, and what happens? A smoker comes in, sits in the no smoking section, and lights up a cigarette. And you say, excuse me, this is the no smoking section here. I pay for these cigarettes. I have a right to smoke. And you, well, not here. Smoking is not allowed in this section. Oh, why don't you mind your own business? They are crazy. They think that if they're poisoning you, that's not your business. They don't give a fire truck if their workmates get lung cancer, or have a baby with birth defects, or quit the job and the children go hungry. They don't care about anything except to obtain cigarettes, to light cigarettes, and to smoke cigarettes. Well, you got to go to the manager and make a complaint. The manager's going to come out here like the time before and the time before that, and he's kind of getting tired of it, and explains to the smoker, you can't smoke in this section here, and the smoker gets all bent out of shape. And you had to watch out for them because, remember, they have depraved indifference to the rights of other people. They are crazy. They think that there's not your business, that they're poisoning you. They are killing themselves. They're suicidal, and they're addicted to nicotine, which is a drug. And you got to watch out for crazy, depraved, suicidal drug addicts. It took courage. But you get back to work and you think you're safe until they say, meeting in the conference room, 2 o'clock. This is their chance to poison you. And if you go to the boss to object about being required to sit in a smoke-filled room, maybe the boss will say, attention everybody, no smoking in the conference room. And suddenly they all hate you like you did something wrong. Or maybe the boss will say, why don't you open a factory and run it your way? Whoever has the gold makes the rules. Well, after work, you got to catch the bus, and smoking is banned on the bus. Oh, goody! They're puffing away at the bus stop, but that's outdoors. You get on the bus, hey, no smoking on the bus. You sit down, and at the next bus stop, a smoker gets on, takes the seat behind you, and lights up. And if you say, excuse me, would you mind not smoking on the bus, please? Typically, the smoker might just blow smoke in your face and threaten to punch your lights out. This is what the struggle for non-smokers' rights is like. This is the hostility that has been raised. And remember the boss that said, why don't you open a factory and run it your way? Well, hey, some of us veterans of non-smokers' rights did. In fact, I wasn't one of them, but some of us opened factories and decided, why should we even hire those maggots anyway? They're just going to smoke anyway, and when we have to fire them, all that money we spent training them is right out the window. They're going to whine like crybabies. You're making me go outside in the freezing cold. If I get sick, it's your fault. Yeah, right. And furthermore, with a lower rate of claims on the group health insurance, a lower absenteeism rate, we'll save money. And probably a lower rate of theft, too, because remember, smokers have no moral scruples whatsoever. So, here's a way that we will be able to wind up producing the Class 3 gonculator neutrino resin for $1.92 a kilogram. And the bad guys have to charge $1.93. We can run them out of business. They'll have to shut down their factories and throw everybody out of work. And the buyers, the industry that's using the product, has to come to us and we have to open new factories and hire non-smokers. The victims of the smokers now have a smoke-free job opportunity. This would have been the perfect checkmate, because remember, it's not just on the job, but some people have to carpool, and if they are forced to carpool with a smoker, the smoker has the car, the one that has the gold makes the rules. If we don't hire smokers, the non-smoker who has to depend on a carpool is covered too. So we decided to do that. Why should we hire those maggots anyway? What do we need them for? There's plenty of people looking for work that deserve a job. So what happens? The smokers go whining like crybabies to the government. That's not fair. They're trying to control what we do outside of work. No, they're not. Once you leave the premises, you can smoke all the cigarettes you want. Just don't come back. We'll mail you your check. We're not controlling what you do. This is our factory. We're going to run it our way. So they go whining to the government, and the government passes this blatantly unjust law, which, like I said, no employer shall require as a condition of employment that any employee or applicant for employment abstain from using tobacco products outside the course of employment, as long as the employee complies with any workplace policy. Well, it would have been the perfect checkmate, because we would have protected the non-smokers' rights, not just in the workplace, but we would have wiped the smokers off the face of the earth altogether. You see, thousands of years ago, there were two subspecies of Homo sapiens, the Neanderthals and the moderns. Homo sapiens neanderthalensis and Homo sapiens sapiens came along, and it took thousands of years for the modern humans to replace the Neanderthals. How did it happen? Well, we're superior to them. Likewise, when the smokers are thrown out of work because they're smokers, a lot of them would have wives that say, if you can't bring home the bacon, I'm finding me a lover boy who can. And the good guys say, hey lady, I'm available, I have a job. What do you say we take in your children into a smoke-free house and raise us a little army of non-smokers? Gradually, we replace the smokers because we are superior. Well, of course, it's not saying much that we're superior to crazy, depraved, suicidal drug addicts, but we are. Now, they go to the government and demand that the government steal our money to pay their doctor bills when they get sick. Hey, why should we want to pay their doctor bills? Why not let them die? The sooner the better. What do we need them for? And then when we turn to the government to protect us, asking for smoke-free bars, suddenly the smokers become libertarians. Hey, why not have the golden rule? Let the one who has the gold make the rules. They're not going to follow the rules anyway. The only reason we had to turn to the government to protect us is because look at what the government does to people who protect themselves. Consider the Battle of Manchester, 14 February 1997. An innocent cab driver just wants to earn a living without getting sick. It was illegal to smoke in the taxi anyway in Manchester. Goes to a bar and picks up a crazy, depraved, suicidal drug addict that insists on smoking in the taxi. And let me suggest, by the way, that sometimes a crazy, depraved, suicidal drug addict might be difficult to reason with after they've had a few drinks. But the fight broke out. The level of violence, that's kind of unclear because, remember, the smoker is on trial. But even if it was only smoking, this is his car. No smoking means no smoking. I am fond of saying that I support liberty and I think logically. No smoking means no smoking. Danger, high voltage, keep out does not mean go in there and start messing around, and if you do, you fry like a hamburger. If somebody is on a date and he wants it and the answer is no, no means no. And if he won't take no for an answer, she is entitled to stop him by any necessary means. If she kills him, hey, good riddance to him. What do we need him for? Creep like that. And no smoking means no smoking. It doesn't mean no smoking, go ahead and smoke anyway. If we allow them to, they're just going to walk all over us. If there isn't a gun behind it, they're going to poison us wherever they find us. It so happens that the cab driver had fully loaded 9mm pistol, and with 8 shots, he extinguished the smoker. Hey, good riddance to the smoker. The Manchester police arrest the cab driver as if he were the one that did something wrong, and the government's kangaroo courts threw him in prison as if he were the one that did something wrong. Most likely, with chain-smoking cellmates, he was convicted by the government's kangaroo courts of second-degree murder. When he did nothing wrong, he was protecting himself. We had to depend on the government to protect us because the government was preventing us from protecting ourselves. So, let me tell you what happened when I had a smoker like that in my taxi. I go out on the call, smoker gets in, angry jerk, lights up a cigarette. Would you mind not smoking in the taxi? I had to pretend to be respectful anyway because I was in business. The smoker replied, "Excuse me, yes I do mind." Unlike most of them that would gripe and then comply, complaining, whining like crybabies, this one refused to extinguish the cigarette. Lucky for the smoker, I did not happen to have a fully loaded 9mm pistol on me, but I had power windows. It was a freezing cold winter morning, it was still dark out, and all of a sudden 4 windows start opening to get some fresh air into the car, and the smoker just blew a stack. "That does it! Call another car!" Well, hey, I don't care, I get rid of it. What do I need that smoker for? I mean, they're jerks. And why should we be required to hire jerks like that? Crazy, depraved, suicidal drug addicts with no sense of right and wrong, do not give a fire truck about anything except to obtain cigarettes, to light cigarettes, and to smoke cigarettes. What do we need them for anyway? Let's repeal this law and restore liberty, where the employer decides whom to employ. You know, why do they call it employment at will if it is against the will of the employer? Why not let the employers decide, and then we, the good guys, get to win? That's how it ought to be, and it ought to be a free country.